Hello, Caldwell County. I hope you're doing well today. I'm blessed to have a good friend of mine, Dr. Donald Phipps, Superintendent of Caldwell County Schools, with us today to talk a little bit about next steps for our school system. Dr. Phipps, welcome. Glad to have you join us here on Take a Minute.
Thank you, Brian. It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here and look forward to sharing some news today and in the upcoming week to give a little bit more detail to our parents and communities about what they can expect.
Well, I know it's a challenging time for everybody in business community, and education has definitely got your hard work set for you as we move forward. And the mission today we have is to help share with the community what some of those next steps are and what's really going on with our school systems and how well you guys are prepared. And I know you guys have been doing an incredible amount of hard work and dedication to our community and our kids and our teachers and just everyone behind the scenes. And I just want to layer up and maybe unpack some of the ideas that are out there for everyone to think about. And I'll let you talk to this, but there are some requirements that came down from the state of what the school systems need to be prepared for. And it was Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. Why don't you tell us, Dr. Phipps, about what you guys have been doing to prepare for these different scenarios?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. As you can see there, we were told that we needed to plan for 3 scenarios, and they're pretty broad. When you think about what they included, it covered the continuum pretty much from one extreme to the other. Plan A was minimal social distancing, which basically is what a normal school year in the environment would look like. Plan B was moderate social distancing, and when this came out, what we were told was that it would have to be social distancing and to count on about 50% of your normal capacity. And that includes school buses, cafeterias, hallways, classrooms. So there's some implications and a lot of planning and thought that has to go into that. And then Plan C was remote learning only, which was very similar to the setup that we had in the spring. But I want to stress, and I'm sure I'll say this more than one time, the experience that parents and students and teachers had in the spring when we talk about remote learning is much different than what remote learning is going to look like moving forward. We were thrust into a situation with literally no notice. When teachers went home on Friday back in March, they had no idea that we wouldn't be returning to school at all for the rest of the year, and students wouldn't be there either. And we had to put together some plans and ideas and take some actions without adequate resources, without very much experience, and with very little training. And we're at a place now where we're much more experienced. We have more resources. We have training, and I feel like as we move forward in the area of virtual education and remote learning, it's just much different than what it looked like in the spring. So I hope that, number one, we change the perception that may be out there if it was negative in any way. What we're looking at moving forward certainly will have a great deal of accountability. Students will be expected to be in attendance virtually. There'll continue to be ongoing communication with staff members, but it will be very rigorous with high expectations. And I would hope that, whether you're in a face-to-face class in a traditional setting, or if you're on a virtual class, that the rigor, expectation, quality is excellent in both of those situations. But so we built plans and components to all 3 of those, and we really waited and then found out this week with the governor's announcement which plan we had to land on and really begin to flesh out what those details would be.
Yeah, I think some folks might have expected, the whole plan to be rolled out when the governor's announcement was there, but that was just the precursor to what you were already preparing, so that you can take and say, okay, this is the guidance, and we will build our plan locally around what the state guidance is. I just wanted to make sure we're clarifying that for everyone, because that we don't want everyone saying, hey, what's our plan? What's our plan? We know you're working on it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that now, and some of your priorities. So I've pulled some of our notes up here, and I'll let you just talk to some of the priorities first in terms of safety and transportation that you and I have discussed before.
Yeah, safety for us, if we'd have been talking a year ago, we would have been talking about the safety of our buildings and our campus and securing the perimeter and those kinds of things. And those continue to be a problem. Those are things that keep me up at night, that I wake up and think about, and those will continue to be priorities. But it's a different type of safety right now. We're talking about making sure that we can mitigate and manage threats from a virus standpoint. And part of that would be the monitoring and the work that we're doing with respect to taking temperatures and making sure that students and adults are wearing face masks and that we have surfaces that are thoroughly cleaned, going above and beyond the minimal level, and doing that often. Classroom spaces, we're limiting transitions in classrooms. We are limiting the gatherings of large numbers of students, cafeterias, gyms, hallways, school buses, those types of things. And we feel like all of those are steps that we're taking to try to manage and mitigate the threats that are out there. We know that you'll never eliminate it and make it zero, but we want to make sure that we can control the environment as much as we're able to control the environment. And we feel like the cleaning and the monitoring and the vigilance that we have will pay off in terms of safety. And that's for students and teachers and guests that come in. Part of that will also be limiting access in our buildings. There'll be, less opportunities for folks from the outside to come in. That doesn't mean that the buildings will be locked down, but we're going to limit access. We have to do that. If we're working so hard to protect that environment, we've got to protect that integrity and limit the individuals that come in. Transportation challenges are real. And when we're talking about limiting the number of students that can get on buses due to safety concerns, it reduces the number of students. So we certainly are going to run multiple routes. On a normal day, in a normal year, we have about 210 bus routes that are being run. And in some of the most complicated scenarios that we ran, we had as many as 1,100 bus routes in a day. And it's almost an unimaginable scenario to deal with when you think about the cost associated with bus drivers, the time that's involved, when you're picking up students and dropping them off, how much time is going to be spent in school. So we've really been working hard on trying to get the details of what our plan looks like and then build the transportation around it. This is really late in the game in mid-July to be able to say, or to have to say that we don't know exactly what our schedules are going to look like. And not knowing that, we've not been able to build bus routes. That's going to put our transportation folks in a real bind, and we acknowledge that. And it's a limitation to what we're dealing with, but it's a challenge that we're going to take on, and we'll do a great job. Child nutrition, at the time of this taping, we've served almost 800,000 meals through our county. We'll continue to provide those services. That changes a little bit once school starts, and we've got to figure out how do we serve students in the cafeteria? What do we do if students aren't in school every day of the week in terms of providing meals? And finally, quality education is what we're about, everything that we do. And we want to make sure that we don't sacrifice the quality of instruction and the quality of the educational services that are being provided to our students. And we have great professionals that are in instructional roles and in support roles. And we know that they're going to rise to the challenge. They'll be working with unbelievable demands in situations that we've never encountered before, but they always rise to the challenge, and they'll do a great job because they're wonderful employees. But we also know that they have concerns about being in school, and many of them have health issues, or they're around loved ones with health issues, just like our students are. And we're trying to take those concerns into account as we build our plan.
Well, you guys are definitely a group of heroes. So we're grateful to know of all the hard work that's happening behind the scenes, but there's some great resources that are out there for folks. And I was able to send an email out to our members a couple of days ago after the governor's announcement, and I'll include these resources in this video link when we send it out. But there's some really good information out there for parents and the community to know about K-12 public health toolkit, COVID case guidance. So if there is a presumed case or information about a case, what the next steps are. If there's a very good list of frequently asked questions, and then we have some great resources with our local medical professionals. I'll let you just talk to that local medical professionals perspective, because without their help, we wouldn't really be able to be here where we're at right now and have a comfort level of knowing that we can move forward. Tell us a little bit more, Dr. Phipps.
You're absolutely right. And I think you have to look at the county that you live in and your local area. And just because we hear something's going on in Wake County or somewhere else in North Carolina, it may not be reflected in the same way. We may have greater needs, or we may not be seeing exactly what they're seeing in other places. And we've met regularly and had communication regularly with our local medical professionals, and we've talked with them about protocol and procedures, and sometimes just ask questions about what do we do if this comes up, or we've had things come up and we've reached out to them, and they've been very quick to respond, and we feel like we've gotten great guidance. And certainly as we build this plan, we want to have them a part of that, because I want to be able to say, for them to be able to say they've endorsed the work that we're doing, and they agree that we're doing the very best we can under the conditions that we're living in.
We do work well together in Caldwell County, don't we?
We do.
So next part of this conversation is just kind of a wrap up and what expectations folks might have regarding next steps and what are your local plan is with your school board and your team.
Well, as we wrap up this week and we move into the following week, I'm hopeful that we'll have a completed plan, polished up, ready to present to the board, hopefully with a specially called board meeting early to midweek next week, where they will adopt the plan. At that point, we'll be able to release everything publicly, and then have individuals respond to that in terms of what their intents are, to help us have the ability to plan with more, be able to refine, I think, with more detail in terms of what we're looking at with respect to the number of students that we can expect, how many teachers are going to be in person versus those that are going to be working remotely. I hope that we are able to allay fears and resolve some angst and anxiety that individuals have when they see what's in the plan. Again, trying to make sure that we take care of the needs and the concerns that are out in our community. This is the best plan that we could come up with to try to stretch it in a way to allow some remote learning opportunities for those who don't feel comfortable being back at school, but at the same time, providing some opportunities with students being back on campus physically. So we're excited to reveal that next week. And we know that there'll be folks that have issues one way or the other with plans. When you're talking about this, there's no way to build something that's going to be perfect and satisfy everybody on every point. We've simply tried to put together the best plan covering as many bases as we could.
Well, Dr. Phipps, that was an incredible amount of information, and I know you guys are working hard behind the scenes. And on behalf of all of our members of the Chamber of Commerce, we thank you for what you're doing to help serve our community, because we do connect everything in our community quite well. Business can't survive without a great education system, and you guys are leading the way there. So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to share more information with our members regarding the next steps and the plan that you'll be solidified and locked down next week. And we will grow and get through all of this together. Thanks so much for joining us.
Brian, thank you and the Chamber for your partnership and support.
Our pleasure. We will share this email out and get it out to everyone with proper links and resources for them to be able to learn a little bit more information as we go along. Thanks a lot.
Very good. Thank you.